All right. Um, what's up, guys? Jordan Bot here. I just wanted to get something out there regarding the Rell rework and my thoughts on it because a lot of you guys were asking how I feel about it and the pros and cons and what's moving forward. So I just wanted to update you guys on that because some people heard a lot through my stream, and if you missed some of that, we'll get it up on YouTube to make sure we're backing up with that. So I haven't done a video like this before, so let's just got my notepad here, so I'm just going to go through some of the points that I made. And first of all, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support. Whether you're a lurker of the stream, a viewer of the stream, a chatter, any one of my Twitch, Twitter, TikTok followers, any one of my YouTube subscribers, and then finally Twitch subscriptions and financial supporters. I appreciate all of you tremendously. This has been We're at about the 2 month mark of Twitch and the 1 month mark of YouTube, and I've tried to do something almost every single day regarding content creation. And I just want to let you guys know that it's been a wonderful time. It's been a grind that's been very rewarding. I've been very thankful to it, and I feel enabled to pursue my passion with the support of you guys, with the support of my girlfriend, um, and pursuing something like this and working towards that common goal is something I feel very strongly about. So I'm not going anywhere. This dream of mine is only going to grow. And if you guys want to be a part of that, you guys already know how to support me, big or small ways. You're all appreciated the same. So thank you so much for that. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about YouTube. So we're just going to change scenes here. We're at 36 subscribers. Our goal right now for the month of June is to hit 50 subscribers on YouTube. And again, it doesn't take anything. It's free for you guys to outreach your arm and support me. My videos will throw up in your, or they'll be thrown up in your feed and in your shorts feed. And if you enjoy them, continue to support me in any way you feel appropriate. And if you turn out the content isn't for you, you just hit unsubscribe. But we really want to try and grow and reach out to some of the support mains out there and the League of Legends players out there because I wanted to start creating content. For lack of content that was out there. The older streamers that were support mains making entertaining or educational content like Low Pally and Ioki, just to name a couple, Bunny Fufu, they've all either branched out or disappeared. So I wanted to try and make something myself, and I do enjoy making the content and I enjoy absorbing the content. So if you guys enjoy it as well, be part of this dream with me. Okay, so where to go from here? Um, let's talk about Rell. So first of all, a lot of you guys know me as like the Rell guy, and I want it to be known as the Rell guy. I want it to be one of the best Rells in North America, and they have since reworked my champion. I have played, you can see across 5 different accounts, I have played about 240 games of Rell this season, and she was by far one of my favorite champions. I think there's something to be said about obtaining a edge against the player base when you know how your champion operates better than the enemy team does, right? So everyone knows how to play against Nautilus. When someone says, "Oh, we just need reliable engage, let's pick Nautilus," the downside there is that the enemy knows how to play it. They know the counters, they know X, Y, and Z, they know the ranges, they know when to play around your spike and when to make your engage a failed engage kind of thing. No one knows what Rell does because there's only about 13 of us that play the champ, right? So I wanted to brand around an uncommon champion that I enjoyed playing, that I thought was entertaining to watch, and that people could know me by. And that rug has it's felt like that rug has been slipped underneath me, but I mean, we always want to turn our challenges into triumphs in one way or another. So long term, Rell might not be the champion you see on this channel. But let's talk about the actual rework and get into the nitty gritty of like what was changed, what was buffed, and what it means for Rell. So I will go right back over here. And so first I want to talk about, so the passive. The passive change was overall very good. It was very intuitive that when she hits a really big combo, she should be rewarded for that combo. The fact that proccing your passive only stacked on in one way was really kind of weird. It didn't make a lot of sense because getting it off and stealing a tiny bit of resist was not very uh, intuitive. It didn't have a lot of skill expression to it. So they've brought skill expression to it. However, my problem with it is that there's no visual indicator to tell when Rell is maxed out on her resists. So she doesn't have like a don't touch me mechanism. Um, and what I mean by that is when Rammus takes his defensive form, it's very obvious. When Swain presses R and you can't really cut through Swain, or you have to focus him down, it's very obvious to the naked eye. So this isn't about the Rell player. This is more about the player base. It doesn't feel obvious when Rell has maxed out on her passive stacks, the fact that there's no visual. And I pulled up a clip of something that reminded me from my childhood of something very obvious of like what would make sense for Rell. I think that her passive, when it's fully stacked, similar to Conqueror having a visual effect, Rell should have a visual effect. I think she should get shinier based on how stacked up her passive is, to make it obvious to the player, oh shit, I'm not going to do damage to this champion right now because of a good reason that you can maybe accept. So I pulled up this Pokemon Stadium footage of back in the day. This is Metapod and Cocoon something. And you see this is the little mini game, and this was, they would use their move Harden to go shiny, right? So I think the better usage visually for a passive for Rell is for the character itself to get shiny when it's landed a big wombo combo. Even if it's a little bit of a shine to suggest that she still is going to take damage, I think that would be a really intuitive change that could be really cool for the game. Okay, so let's move on from the passive. So let's talk about the problems. Her Q now has the stun attached to it, so it is now a core part of her engage. She is going to be engaging with a variation of W, Q, and R, right? That's like pretty much defined. The Q still has the shield break. The Q is lower range and slower, which feels very clunky to use, which is kind of opposite to Riot's goal on what they wanted the Rell rework to do, right? Which is very odd to me. In addition to that, when you're playing Lulu, when you're playing Seraphine, when you're playing Shen top, when your carry gets engaged on by an engaged tank support, you are going to shield and provide them with shields and heals and peel abilities after the engage kind of goes through. You're not pre-shielding on the support's engage. You're shielding on the follow-up damage typically, right? You're not gonna pop Shenar before Rell's gone in, right? So now that Rell's Q is now a core part of her engage, and it's a shield break, it took away a big part of the skill expression that Rell had of you engage with your WER, and then you wait for the big shield to come out, and then you break it. Boom, I've expressed my skill over you, I've gotten a new outplay, right? And they've taken that away by making her Q clunkier, worse to use, and a part of her engage. The shield break now feels it's out of place now. So I think this rework is kind of gone sideways. So now let's talk about the W. The W is slower in the sense that it has more time to wind up and it slides out faster, which you could say is power neutral, but they've also lowered the range on it, which I think is massive. I think it's a huge, huge, huge nerf to what she needs to do as a champion to interact with the other archetypes of supports, and I'll explain what I mean by that later in the video. So they've also removed a core part, one of her combos, which was where you flash W. All right, I think we're back. Yeah, my fucking headset died. Technology, we love it. All right, so as I was saying, the combo, one of her core combos, if she didn't have R, this is a pre-6 or your R is on cooldown combo, is where you flash W, and while you're on top of the carry that you're trying to crash down onto, you pop your E midair, and they would get stunned, and the micro stun was enough for your crash down to land and mission accomplished, right? They've removed that, so there's a whole combo that she relied on when she didn't have R, because the whole point of her R is to absorb enemies in to get hit by the crashdown. The crashdown is the core ability that is the signature like reason of why you're picking the champion, right? And an AoE knock up CC engage tool, right? So it's shorter range. They've removed the interaction where you can flash W and E on them midair. and Q is a lockout ability, so you can't Q midair when you're W'd, right? Um, Now let's talk about her E. Her E is a non-ability. It just gives you a tiny bit of move speed, and it's a damage proc. The damage proc scales with max HP. So that what they've given Rell is jungling potential and epic monster secure potential. So when you E auto Baron or you're E autoing Dragon, you're dealing like 800 to 1,000 damage, which is ridiculous, and visually that feels very unappealing to the player base, because when Nunu rolls up and he has a consume smite, it's very obvious that's what the champion does. When Wukong is going to Q smite, he whacks his staff and he Q smites it, and it's not a tremendous amount of damage, right? So then there's other champions in the game that have smite secures as well, but they're obvious to the eye. This E auto doing 800 damage. It's just you press E similar to Jack's W, where your lance just kind of shines a little bit, and then you boom, and then you have the auto. It feels very rushed as an ability. Like, it doesn't seem like they put a lot of thought into that, because it's not visually, it doesn't have visual clarity. It doesn't feel like she should be doing that much damage to Baron. She's not eating it. She's not doing some crazy feat to it. She's hitting it with her lance. So that feels really weird. And then I already talked about the R. The whole R goal is to absorb enemies to get hit by the W, and the fact that it's shorter range has interactions with the other archetypes of supports. So if you've been around my stream, if you've heard any of the content on YouTube, educational content about supports, there's basically 4 main archetypes that bot lane combos can be slotted into, and certain combos or certain champions can cover multiple categories. So when I say my example champions, they're not only this category, they can have a flair in a different category. But anyways, let's go through them really quick. So there's All In. And Nautilus is a great example of an all-in champion. He has one win condition. He needs to engage. He needs to score kills by locking up members, right? And this is primarily like early lane phase / a little bit of their job later in the game, but I'm just going to go over like archetypes in lane and how they interact with each other. So all in Nautilus, right? Braum is an example of a control champion. Another word used to describe this is protect or counter engage. So you come into me and I make sure I block it. It doesn't work. And then you get punished for your engage, right? Then there's champions like Luxheimer, like the mage bot lanes, the push poke, these kind of champions that play to that win condition. And then there's champions like Lulu, Sona, Janna, Soraka. Those are the sustained champions or pseudo sustained champions that typically play for scaling. So those are the 4 general archetypes. So all in, control, mage, and or poke and sustain, right? And similar to Pokemon, where like there's some Pokemon examples in my brain of how I categorize like strategy and strategic decisions in game and draft and things like this, right? So there's certain types that counter certain types. So all in is countered by control. Control is countered by mage and sustain. Sustain and mage counter each other, depends on matchup, depends on a lot of different things, right? And you can use your AD carry pick to supplement or further hurt your matchup, right? All in loses to control. All in beats sustain and mage. And I think I've gone over all of them, right? Control beats all in but loses to sustain and mage. So how does Rell fit into this? Rell was primarily an all-in with a control secondary. So another part of the kit that they removed was the E-snap, which makes her peeling less reliable, so she's even less of a control champion, and also less of an engaged champion because she has lower range, right? So you pick Nautilus for the reach. Your hook goes across the whole lane, and you can hit somebody and start a fight. Taric is a good example of a control champion that has a very tough time navigating the game when he's playing into sustain or mage because of his short range stun, right? He only has one attempt at a play, which is his E with flash, right? If he cannot convert on that play, he is almost always losing lane phase. He's playing to scale, he's playing to get rid of, he's playing to conclude the lane phase and mitigate losses and then play for a mid-late game transition, right? So Rell feels similar to Taric now than she did before, where she was a little bit similar to like Leona, where her engage was long enough range where I can actually reach and get onto a Caitlyn Lux lane, where now it feels like that's even harder to do, which is a huge nerf, right? It felt like she was good into all in, because you can fist fight each other. She was good into control, because you didn't have to go in when you could skill a couple points into Q, you could play to out-sustain the lane, you'd have more pressure, even though you're stylistically countered, because you don't have to fully commit. You can play to peel, you can play to mitigate loss, or not mitigate loss, but you can play to contain pressure, and then in the big dragon fights, you can go absolutely crazy with your long range engage around your flash or your main combos. So her biggest problem is she gets kited, and I feel like they've made that problem worse, not better with the changes. So I don't love that. So bottom line is, I really think that they should just revert the changes. All the champion needed before was E and W bug fixes. For those of you who don't know, her E, the server would kind of forget who you're attached to when you were close to that tethered range. And sometimes when you tried to switch from one ally to another, when you were almost at that maximum range of your E is active and inactive, it would go on a full cooldown for no reason. That was a really cringe interaction. If you guys have seen any of my videos, I literally timestamp some of them that this is an E-bug example. So if you guys are curious, you can go through some of my old videos and look at that. So the E is bugged. It did not work properly. The W, secondary W, where you remount and you would flip the target over your head. If you lost vision on their target when you were mid auto animation, you wouldn't flip and your ability would go on cooldown, which is not how that is supposed to work. If Wukong is going to Q you and he loses vision of you, the Q either goes through anyway or the auto is canceled and he maintains that Q for that remaining duration of the chances that he has to the seconds that he has to actually use the ability, right? But the ability would just go on full cooldown, and I have examples of that in my videos as well. So that's Rell. So I'm super not happy with where Rell landed after the rework. So that's kind of been giving me a little bit of grief because I'm kind of thinking like, who do I brand around? Where do I go next? I'm still going to be playing a lot of Amumu. I love Amumu. I love that I was an engaged support branded player that plays uncommon champions, that does kind of lots of AoE team fight. I start the fight. I can roam. I can generate a lot of map pressure. I can run the game from the support role. And that's kind of what I want to sell to you guys. I want you guys to view that content and have faith that that's going to be a consistent product that I'm going to deliver on. I'm going to be able to climb the NA Super Server ladder with my engaged champions. So Rell was going to be one of those champions. She might not be anymore. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to I like the idea of playing multiple champions, not just only a Mumu, because my mental and my boredom will go kind of too high. I need to diversify just a little bit. I am a huge advocate for making a very small champion pool and expanding very slowly. So for the people that have been around my stream, I talk about the 20 game formula, where you play 20 games on a champion, on a Smurf, or in normals, or whatever you want, ideally closest to your main rank or your peak rank, and you play 20 games. If you can win 13 of those games and you lose 7, you have the permission slip, the golden ticket of you have the special sauce that's going to make you climb very quickly from the elo you're in to a new peak or to a new elo. And I think 20 games is a good enough sample size that the griefers, the inters, the auto win games, the insta loss games kind of level out just a little bit. So I think a 20 game sample size, for the most part, you're going to get a good representation. If you can win 13 of those games, you've got it. Go for it, right? That's the approval that I would give for anyone trying to climb. So I don't know who I'm going to add to my pool next. I've got some ideas of engagers. I like tank engage for my branding. I'm down for any people that want to suggest me a champion that they think that I would be good at, or that I should play for content or for climbing purposes. And then I will be I'll be still committing to streaming and creating content for you guys. I'm super excited. I'm so like I'm very passionate about this, and I really want to get the ball rolling. And for the past 30 days of YouTube and 60 days of Twitch, I think I've been live for about 52 days out of 60 days, which is kind of a lot. I really, really just want to grow. Ideally as quickly as possible, but I noticed a personal toll was being paid when I wasn't taking care of my own well-being with some breaks, right? You need to take breaks away from everything to maintain your mental, to maintain your physique, to maintain your happiness levels. You can't just grind out 24/7 or you're going to burn out. So with that being said, these last 2 days that I took off have been really, really important for me. I recharged the batteries a little bit, and I just wanted to shift the priorities of going forward. I'm going to try and deliver. I was going daily video, daily stream, and that's not exactly sustainable. I want to dial back from that just a little bit. So the schedule that I'm going to try moving forward will be to deliver 3 to 5 YouTube videos a week and 5 to 6 Twitch streams a week. We're going to try that. That's going to be something that I have to revisit from time to time. But obviously, I really, really just want to make this dream a reality. I'm very invested. I'm very passionate. We'll see where we are in 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, and if I'm worth your guys' time, because I want to be able to earn it, and I don't want posting and streaming daily to make the quality go down for the quantity to go up, if you guys know what I mean. Again, this was a much longer winded video than you guys are used to, so thank you guys for taking the time to watch. Thanks for the support. Again, if you guys can contribute in any way that you guys feel appropriate, whether it's just subbing to me on YouTube, watching any one of my videos, like I appreciate it. It makes tremendous value to me. And I think that's going to do it on my thoughts for the Rell rework and myself moving forward. All right, that's it. Bye, guys. Bye.